Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Sri Sailesha Dayavatram Divaktadi Gunarnavam Yatindra Pravanam Vande Rammeja Mataram Munim Lakshminada Samarambham Natayamana Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandham Vande Guru Parambaram Yonityam Achyutavadam Bhujayukma Rukma Vyamohadastathitarani Trinayamene Asmat Gurur Bhagavatosya Dheka Santoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Pravatye. Namaskaram to all. So as a continuation of our discussion about 108 Divyadesam, or knowing about the knowledge about 108 Divyadesams. The previous part, we saw some introduction about the 108 temples, how they are organized, and what are all the classifications of those temples. We will start to see some of the temples, as Adiyan mentioned. Adiyan took in today's part one of the first Divyadesams in this particular universe or world where we could physically go there. Of course, Sri Vaikuntham, Moksham is the precious one. But within this earth, where we call it out as the Bhuloka Vaikuntham, which is the place where we can go and worship Sriman Narayanan as if we go to a Sri Vaikuntham. Of course, even it has got a much more benefit than Sri Vaikuntham in one way, that you can go as many times and come back, and as many times you can go and pray. God is a place called Srirangam Thiruvarangam. This is the first and foremost for Divyadesam. And this Divyadesam is in the Choranadu, which is in Trichirappalli in Tamil Nadu. Of course, the way in which Adiyan would like to share in the shortest period of time is not to spend more time on to the geographical structure, geographical places and how to reach these. There are a lot of information in the internet to know about these temples and how to reach there. Adiyan would take in each of those temples, it's very important to know about the name and of both Sriman Narayanan and Thayar. Always all the temples, Emperuman is Shriyapati. He would always be with Thayar. There is no separation from Thayar and Emperuman. So always we would learn about Thayar and Emperuman together in those temples. And there are certain history with those temples in terms of some has got some big history, some has got smaller history, how those temples have been formed, or about the Pratishtai. There are certain informations about those temples which have been found, and Adiyan would share those history. It is important to know about the history of those temples. And there are certain few features of those temples, which is highlights of those temples. Of course, talking about Thiruvarangam, you need several days. Even to go around this temple, it takes several days if you have to go around these temples in the nook and corner of this. So it's such a big temple. So going there and enjoying that is a different experience, and being remote and hearing through this, all these type of lectures is a different experience. Adiyan would try to share as much of those features, but always it is good to go there and enjoy Emperuman live there, and going to those temples gives a lot of positive energy, as Adiyan mentioned before. So this temple, Thiruvarangam, which is a Choranadu temple, it is very near in a place called Srirangam, we call it out, as the place itself is called Thiruvarangam or Srirangam. And this place is close to Trichy, and the Emperuman there is called Sri Ranganatha Peruman, and Thayar is Nachiyar, Sri Ranganachiyar, we call it out. And this, both of these in the same temple, we can go and enjoy those Emperuman and Thayar. Always in the temples, the Utsava Peruman would be called with some name, so different from the Moolava Peruman. So here Namperuman is the Utsava Peruman, who goes around the streets of Srirangam, and the Moolavar is Sri Ranganatha Peruman. And this is a great place, as Adiyan mentioned. This is the Bhuloka Vaikuntham, and this is the first of the Divyadesams. All the Alvars have praised this location, and this particular place has been praised, and we could see in the 4000 Divya Prabandhams, Nalayira Divya Prabandham, about Thiruvarangam, and all the Alvars have sung about the glory of this place, because this is a place, a Buloga Vaikuntam for Emperuman. And this is placed around a river called Kaveri. It's one of the sacred thing also, because these Alvars have sung about how Emperuman he is in the Sayana column, which is like he is how he is in the Tirupar Kadal. And you could see the Ranganatha Peruman with Adiseshan, and he's lying on the bed of Adiseshan. Is a great scene to enjoy, because that's one of the great form with which we pray Sriman Narayana. And one of the Alvars, Tondaradi Pudi Alvar, he has praised with one of the poem, Gangayil Punidamana Kaviri Naduvuvattu Punganir Parandupayum Pumbozhil Arangam. It's a great way of expressing how Srirangam is there. The Kaveri river is flowing on that, and the middle of that one is where Srirangam there, and within that one, how he is lying also, because he is talking about the posture of Emperuman through these great poems. There are several poems always talk about the beauty of Srirangam as a place itself. And then comes to the Emperuman's Paratvam. As Adian mentioned, Alvars always praised about the place also, because those places have been blessed by Emperuman to be there. And this Kshetram is one of the Swayam Bhakta Kshetram, as Adian mentioned, and this is the Kshetram where Emperuman himself chose to be there into this temple, and there is a history for that one. So let's understand the history of Thiruvarangam temple before we see a few of the features and glories of that temple. The glory itself is in the history. Because it is a Swayambhakta Kshetram, Emperuman himself has chosen to be there into this place where Kaveri is going and is flowing. And there is a history even from the Ikshvaku. It's from the Ramayana times, where even great grandfathers of Rama, one of the king, they are from the Ikshvaku Kula. And one of this king, when he had an opportunity to visit Lord Brahma in Satyalokam. So he visited at that time in Satyalokam, and there he saw in the Satyalokam a vigraham of Lord Ranganatha. He is in the Shayana Kolam, an Adiseshan lying in the bed of Adisesha with Tayar. And when this king, Ikshvaku king, saw that particular vigraha, then he requested to Lord Brahma, you are in Satyaloka and you can always visit Emperuman Sriman Narayanan in Tirupar Kadal, and we don't have that blessings there in the earth. So can I request you to give this vigraha to me, and I can take it there down, and we could do a praying every day with this. This is a beautiful one. So at that time, Brahma agreed, and he gave that vigraham of Lord Ranganatha, and this came to Ikshvaku Kula. Note that Ikshvaku Kula is a Rama. He is from the Kshatriya Kula, and and in that particular one of his grandfathers got this vigraham, and it became their daily prayer god, and the whole Kula up to Rama even, he was praying to this particular Lord. Even Rama is the avataram of Emperuman. As a human being, he also did his prayer as a routine, and he also prayed Emperuman, and that Emperuman vigraham that was there when Rama was praising was this Lord Ranganatha's in Ayodhya. We are talking about in the north where this vigraham was there. So how did it come from there? If this vigraham was there, how did Emperuman chose to be here in Srirangam? This is also the process. When all this Ramayana story has finished, when Rama went to Lanka and he killed Ravana, and then along with him came Vibhishana, Hanuma, everybody came, and the whole Pattabhishekams and everything was done for Rama when all things were done good. Then Vibhishana, who has been made the king of Lanka, he has to go back from after all these celebrations. He needs to go back. But he had a very, very true bhakti. The Sharanagati, what Vibhishana made with Rama, is even today is the example of anyone who is doing the Sharanagati. And that is the true Sharanagati that Vibhishana made with Rama. So such an affection, such a bhakti that Vibhishana has got with Rama. So he was not feeling so good to go away from Rama. But then Rama, realizing that Vibhishana is feeling a little bit uncomfortable to go back, but he has to go back. He is a king, and people are there, and he has to take care of Lanka. So he told Vibhishana, "You can go back, but I will give this vigraha to you as a token of your bhakti. Even my own God, whom I'm praying every day, you can take it. That's the true bhakti and the price for your bhakti." And so he got that vigraha. So Vibhishana, to some extent, now he got a vigraha of Lord Ranganatha, even though he could not be with Rama for all the days. So at least something he got. So he now got convinced that he has to go back to Lanka. So he took the vigraha, and then he said all the salutations to Rama, and then he started to fly towards Lanka. You can also see all geographically to that. From north of Ayodhya, he started to fly towards Lanka, taking that vigraha because he has to take it back to Lanka. He crossed all the Andhra Pradesh in the Shastra, in the Ramayana, and every places it comes, Godavari comes. So he crosses the rivers of Godavari. And when he was crossing this place of Srirangam, at that time it was not called as Srirangam, but that is a beautiful garden and very greenery, and the river Kaveri was flowing. And Emperuman, from there, he was seeing that nice place. And then he told Vibhishana to somehow go down because we have flown so much. So let's take some rest here. So why don't we be here? And there was a king who was doing certain type of a festival celebration at that time. So Lord Ranganatha requested him to just come down towards the banks of Kaveri. So Vibhishana came, and then he just kept this vigraha in the banks of Kaveri river. And then after a few days of festivals that were going around, and the king was very fond of Lord Ranganatha, the king who was ruling there, and they were all praying with him, and the festivals were enjoyed. And the day came, and then Vibhishana thought that now we should start back to Lanka because he has to go back to Lanka as per what Rama has told him. So he tried to take that vigraha from ground, and he could not lift it. He could not lift it. And then he was very astonished. So he was able to carry it from Ayodhya to this place, and now he is not able to carry this. And then he started to interact with Lord Ranganatha, and then he said that he likes that place so much. He would like to be there. And he asked Vibhishana to go alone to Lanka, and he would like to be there because that place is very nice. And one of the reason is that because his own feet, Kaveri was running, and then that is the poem that we saw, that it comes and the Kaveri is coming and cleaning his feet every moment. And that is the reason why the Kaveri got the purest form, by just touching the feet of Lord Emperuman. And Emperuman liked those great garden and the greenery of Srirangam, and also the affection that the king, the bhakti that king showed on during those festival. And so he wanted to stay there. Now Vibhishana got again upset because he is not able to take Lord Ranganatha also. Now he left Rama and came, and now he is also now losing Lord Ranganatha, and how can I go alone and do? And then he was feeling very sad, and Emperuman told him, don't worry. So always I will be looking at you, and you will be coming every day night to this temple and seeing me, but you have to go there to Lanka, and you have to take care of your people. But that is an exception. That's how I will be always seeing you, and I will be lying down looking at your direction. And that's the one of the vigraham today, even in Srirangam, if you look at that one, Emperuman is looking towards Lanka. There is a great verse that Tondaredipudi Alvar, Kudadisai Mudiyai Vaitu, Gunadisai Padam Niti, Vadadisai Pinbugati, Tendisai Ilangai Noki, Kadalnira Kadabulandai, Aravanai Tuyilumagand, Udalenak Kurgamalo, Enseihen, Ulahatire. The way in which he says The way in which the Embaraman is lying is that Kudadisai Mudiyai. See, he is with the vest on his side of the head. The feet is on the east side, and his back is showing towards north. But then his front is looking towards. He didn't say south. It is looking towards Lanka. If you look at that way from Srirangam, the south of that one is Sri Lanka. So that way he said, my eyes will be always, my blessings will be always there. My anugraham will be always there, Vibhishana, please go. And then Vibhishana got convinced and he went back to Lanka. And even today, in the history, it is always said that one, every day night, Vibhishana comes and then Embaraman gives a special appearance to him in Srirangam. And he has that blessings even from south, even from Srirangam towards the south, that Vibhishana got that particular type of blessings because of his true bhakti. And that is the story why Srirangam is so famous. And the history comes from Ikshvaku. Lord Rama himself has prayed this particular Vigraham, and this comes so far away from that history. And after that, a lot of Cholas have built the temples in and around, and that's how a development. This is only a pratishtha of the Vigraham, and that's how Swayam Bhakta Kshetram, Embaraman himself, chose to be there in Srirangam. And after that, a lot of Cholas have built the big temples, and today Srirangam is the biggest temple in Asia, because it's also one of the temple which is in action today. That means you can talk about temples in Southeast Asia or anything, but people, it is not in action. The daily routines are not happening, and Srirangam is one of such temple. So visiting there, you need several days to visit all these places, and that's one of the history that Adian would like to share about Srirangam. Talking about few features, whenever we are talking about the temples, we should talk about the Vimanam. In Tamil, we call it out as a Vimanam, but Adian is translating just for the purpose of the English, which is the tower above where the Moolava Vigraham is there. You would see that one in every temple. Always there is a sacred nature of those, and this is through which all the devas or even this Vibhishana was coming through that, because they are communicating through that tower. And this is where very important, and this is called Pranavakara Vimanam in Thiruvarangam. Pranavakaram is the Pranavam is the Pranava Mantram. Everybody is knowing, and it is in the shape of the Pranava Mantram, the whole Vimanam. When Vibhishana brought this Vigraha, it was coming along with those Vimanam, and that's why it's still there, and it is in the shape of Pranavam, is one of the features of Srirangam. And there is Pushkarani. There are several Pushkaranis, and Chantara Pushkarani, which is the one which is tank, which is a purest form, and it is very sacred one. More than that, all the acharyas of Sri Vaishnavism, they have been there even before Sri Ramanuja, and the great saint Sri Ramanuja. This is a place on a Panguni Uttram day. He came to Srirangam in front of the Taya, Sri Ranganachiyar. He made his Sharanagati request. So that means he wanted to get the Sharanagati of Emperuman. So first he went to Tayar, he started his Sharanagati Gatyam, and then he also did that one with Emperuman. And this is the place where after that Sri Ramanuja had all his Tirumalikai and many of those things, and all the Purva Acharyas who followed him, many of the Acharyas lived around, and even today, many of the Acharya Tirumaligais are there in Srirangam because of that reason, where it has got the great roots as an original in this earth. After Sri Vaikuntham, that is a place where we could see that the similar experience of Emperuman is what all the Acharyas have shown as a way for us. And many of the Alvars, we cannot cover all the Alvars Pasurams here. There are so many Pasurams, more than 250, close to 250 Pasurams. Out of that, 4,000 Pasurams are about Srirangam, all the Alvars together. Adian will take one of the Pasurams it is important. Alvars, Mangalasashana Pasurams, we should praise at least one of them about each of the Kshetram, because that's the main reason we are looking at all these 108 Divyadeshams. Tundaradi Pudiyalvar again, in his Tirumalai, one of the Prabandham, he talks about the paratvam of how great and looking Sriman Narayanan. பச்சைமாம் அலைபோல் மேனி பவளவாய் கமலச்செங்கன் அச்சுதா அமரரேரே ஆயர்தம் கொழுந்தே எண்ணும் இச்சுவை தவரையான் போய் இந்திர லோகமாலும் அச்சுவை பெருணும் வேண்டேன் அரங்கமா நகருளானே. The essence of this particular poem, Thundaradi Pudiyalvar says, the beauty in which this whole Srirangam looks, the beauty in which Emperuman Sriman Narayanan looks here, Adiyan would not like to go anywhere else. I would like to be here. Even if you provide the Indra Loka or any other lokas, Adiyan is not interested into that one. Adiyan is very much interested to be there. He is the one of the Alvars who just praised only Thiruvarangam, and he wanted to be in Thiruvarangam, and that is the greatness of that place, how Alvars have shown their bhakti towards that. There are many Utsavangal today. Panguni Brahmotsavam is very famous in Thiruvarangam. Vaikunta Ekadashi during the December, one of the biggest celebrations, because that's the how we think that one we would be getting the moksham of, and that is a place, and it's also the place where Emperuman, we call it out as the sign the column, lying down, because Emperuman is in several ways. He could be in a standing posture, or he could be in a lying posture, or he could be in a sitting posture. There are several postures in which we could see it in different temples, and in this temple is in that form, and one of the great place to visit. And these are all the few glimpses Adiyan could share within this short span of time about Thiruvarangam. This is not the whole history of Thiruvarangam. Adiyan would request, it's easy to reach, it's not too far away, and it's a big temple. There several Acharya Thirumaligais are there. One can go there and stay and then visit the temple for several days and enjoy that Emperumans and get the anugrahams of Tayar and Emperuman. Adiyan, this is the conclusion of Thiruvarangam temple as a first one. We will continue with the next temples from the next part. Adiyan. Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Alvargal Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Emperumanar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Jiyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Acharyan Swami Tiruvadigalai Sharanam.